Do you know this beautiful woman? Her name is Nahako Satomi. She is the heroine of The Wind Rises, an animated feature film directed by Hayao Miyazaki of Studio Ghibli. She is the most beautifully portrayed heroine in Hayao Miyazaki's films. What makes her so bewitching? In this video, you will learn about Nahoko, a beautiful innocent girl who lived in pure love. The movie The Wind Rises depicts the youth in the 1930s using the birth of the Zero Fighter as the main thread, and the encounter and the separation between the main characters, Jiro Horikoshi and Nahoko, as the second thread. The main theme of the story is Jiro Horikoshi's career history and Tatsuo Hori's love story, respectively. For this reason, the poster for the movie says, in honor of Jiro Horikoshi and Tatsuo Hori. The love story, which is the West, incorporates content from Tatsuo Hori's novels Beautiful Village, The Wind Rises, and Nahoko. The novel The Wind Rises, the title of the movie, is a love story written by Tatsuo Hori based on his own personal experiences. This novel tells the story of the main character and his fiancée, who is suffering from an incurable disease, and how they live together in the limited days they have left. The film depicts two people who are facing the death of a loved one, questioning the meaning of life and death, and trying their best to live their limited lives. Setsuko, the heroine of this novel, is modeled after Ayako Yano, Tatsuo Hori's fiancée. In fact, Ayako Yano suffered from tuberculosis and died when she was only 24 years old. The novel Beautiful Village is based on the true story of Tatsuo Hori's encounter with Ayako Yano in Karuizawa. The heroine of the movie The Wind Rises is named after the novel Nahoko by Tatsuo Hori. The episode at the end of the movie in which Nahoko escapes from the sanatorium, where she is recuperating and goes to see Jiro, is based on this novel. The rest of the movie The Wind Rises is largely composed of three acts: Encounter, Meet Again, and Separation. Act 1. Encounter. Nahoko Satomi has a fatal encounter with Jiro Horikoshi on a train bound for Tokyo. Nahoko happened to be the same train that Jiro was on, accompanied by Okinu, a maid hired by the Satomi family. Nahoko walks out of the second-class cabin onto the deck and exclaims in admiration, "The wind feels wonderful!" Okinu is worried and calls out, "Miss, use your hat!" But Nahoko doesn't care. At that moment, the wind blows away the hat of Jiro, who is sitting on the deck of the third-class carriage next to her. Nahoko catches the hat as she almost falls off the train. When Nahoko is saved by Okinu and Jiro, she innocently says, "Safe!" and smiles. Jiro smiles back. "Nice catch!" This scene is a counterpart to the scene where Nahoko and Jiro meet again in Karuizawa. Their positions are reversed and recreated. After this, Nahoko asks Jiro with a meaningful expression, "Level 7?" Jiro looks surprised for a moment, but then replies, "Il faut tenter de vivre." Level 7? Il faut tenter de vivre. This is a line from a poem by the French writer Paul Barret. Through the description of Nahoko and Jiro exchanging poems in French, we can see that they are both young but well educated. After Nahoko and Okinu return to the cabin, Jiro mumbles about the meaning of this passage. The wind is rising. We must try to live. In the face of any adversities, we must try to live. This passage is the theme of the entire movie, The Wind Rises. It is also a foreshadowing of Nahoko's words to Jiro in the last scene of the movie. Just after that, the great Kanto earthquake struck. At this time, Okuni breaks her leg. Jiro spots Nahoko and Okinu among the evacuating passengers and runs to them. Jiro takes out a slide rule from his trunk and uses it as a brace to hold Okinu's broken leg in place. Then, he carries Okinu, who cannot walk, on his back to Ueno. Nahoko follows, carrying Jiro's large, heavy trunk and hat. Jiro asks, "What about your luggage?" Nahoko replies firmly, "It's not important." After evacuating to the precinct of shrine in Ueno, Jiro gives Okinu some water in a new shirt that his mother sewed for him and tells her to stay here. Nahoko and Jiro go to the mansion in Ueno Hirokoji to bring someone from home. They ran hand in hand, trying not to lose sight of each other as they made their way through the crowded streets of evacuees. This scene implies that they will eventually face adversity hand in hand. In Act 3, Jiro is holding the hand of Nahoko on her sick bed as he goes about his work. On the way, Jiro loses his hat in a crowd of people, which Nahoko caught for him. The loss of the hat that led to their encounter is a metaphor for the breaking of the red thread of the fate that connects them. Nahoko manages to reach home safely and is taken directly into the house, protected by her worried father and other household members. Nahoko turns around and tries to look at Jiro, but Jiro turns back to Okinu with the servant of the Satomi family. Nahoko's sad expression conveys her sorrow as she watches Jiro leave, unable to say thank you or exchange a word with him. After leading the servant of the Satomi family to Okinu, Jiro left without saying his name. On March 11, 2011, the day after Hayao Miyazaki finished storyboarding the scene of the Great Kanto earthquake, the Great East Japan earthquake struck. Hayao Miyazaki wondered if she should leave the earthquake scene in the film, but decided to keep it. The scene of the Great Kanto earthquake is Act 1 itself, depicting the encounter between Nahoko and Jiro. The episodes portrayed in Act 1 are strongly associated with the event that take place in Act 2, so eliminating the scene of the Great Kanto earthquake would loosen the weight of the film. The earthquake happened in history, and it was thought that Act 1 was essential to weave the weight of the film. This encounter has a further story. One day, 2 years later, a young lady comes to visit Jiro at the university, but is unable to see him in person because he is not there. When Jiro opened the package handed to him by the university staff, he found a slide rule that he had used as a brace for her broken leg, and shared that he had used to get some water. Okinu comes back to Jiro's memory. For 2 years, she searched for Jiro's brace, relying on the fact that the young man who helped her was a student at the university in Hongo. Jiro hurried after her, but she had already disappeared. When he returned to his dormitory, a young woman was waiting for him. Jiro's expectations were raised for a moment, but it was his sister Kyle. Jiro looks a little disappointed. When Kyle heard about the woman from Jiro, she asked, "She must really like you. Didn't you try to see her again?" Jiro tells her that he went back once, but the whole area was burnt down in a fire during the earthquake. They're not talking about Nahoko, but about Okinu. When they met, Jiro was 20 years old and a student at the Tokyo Imperial University, and Nahoko was 13. From the description in Act 1, we can see that Nahoko is a daughter of a wealthy family, bright, innocent, and strong at the core. It is also apparent that she had feelings of love for Jiro, who saved Nahoko and Okinu during the earthquake. However, at that time, Nahoko was still too young for Jiro to see her as an object of love. This subtle gap in consciousness is reflected in the emotional state of Nahoko and Jiro when they meet again later in the story. Since the red thread of fate had been broken, it took 10 years after they met before they could meet again. In the next episode, I will tell you the story of how Nahoko and Jiro meet again, and how they realized that the moment when the wind delivered Jiro's heart to Nahoko was their destined encounter.